This your brother K. Judah, giving all praise to the Most High Yah, and faith in Yahshua HaMashiach, and to my Israelite family worldwide, I say peace and blessings. There was a king named Nebuchadnezzar who ruled over Babylon, and he had in captivity Judah and Jerusalem. And the king made an image, and he wanted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to bow down, and they would not. So I titled this, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was delivered from a furnace of fire. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was delivered from a furnace of fire. Let's go to Daniel chapter 3. The book of Daniel, chapter 3. And I'm going to pick it up at verse 1. Daniel, chapter 3. And I'm going to pick it up at verse 1. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 3. And your brother K. Judah gonna pick it up at verse 1. And it reads, Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. I want you to remember that, 66. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent together the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the province to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the province were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then a hurling cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, 1, flute, 2, harp, 3, sackbut, 4, sorcery, 5, dulcimer, 6, and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. So you remember, the height was 60 cubits, which is 60, and the width 6 cubits, and 6 instruments of music. 6, 6, 6. So 666 been around for a long time. But this sound familiar. Let's go to Revelations 13. Revelations chapter 13. This sound familiar. Revelations 13. And I'm going to pick it up at verse 1. Revelations chapter 13. And I'm going to pick it up at verse 1. And it reads, And I stood up on the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. This is that same beast that you read about in Daniel chapter 7, when Christ said, in the days of these kings should the God of heaven set up a kingdom. We in the time of the 4th beast, which is that Roman Empire, and it will be revived through the European Union. So this is the beast in Revelation 13 verse 1. Now jump down to verse 13. Verse 13. And it reads, And he do great wonders, so that he make fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceive them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword, and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Read it again, K. Judah. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 636. The same thing that we just read in the book of Daniel chapter 3. The height was 60. It was 6 cubits wide, and it had 6 instruments of music. 666. So it's been around for a long time. But that which was is that which should be. Understand that, Israel. Let's go back to Daniel chapter 3. And this time, verse 7. Daniel chapter 3. And this time, I'm going to pick it up at verse 7. Daniel chapter 3. And this time, I'm going to pick it up at verse 7. Daniel chapter 3, verse 7. And it reads, Therefore at the time, when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, the flute, harp, sackbut, sorcery, and all kinds of music, all the people, nations, and languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king, Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, had made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, harp, sackbut, sorcery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worship, that he should be cast in the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Why did not Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego bow down to his gods? Let's go to Exodus chapter 20. Exodus chapter 20. And I'm going to pick it up at verse 3. Exodus chapter 20. And I'm going to pick it up at verse 3. The book of Exodus chapter 20 and verse 3. And it reads, Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Read that again. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them. Read that again, K. Judah. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me. So these Israelite men knew they should not have no other gods before the Most High Yah, and they should not bow down to anything but the Most High Yah. Do you understand this, Israel? Let's go back to Daniel chapter 3. And this time, verse 13. Daniel chapter 3. And this time, verse 13. This is the book of Daniel chapter 3. And this time, I'm going to pick it up at verse 13. Daniel chapter 3 and verse 13. And it reads, Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if you be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, sorcery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast this same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that should deliver you out of my hand? He have no idea who our God is. To make a statement like that, you have no idea who our God is. But let's see who our God is. Verse 16, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we would not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. That is faith. That is what you call faith. And let's see what God would do for you if you have faith. Jeremiah 15. Jeremiah 15. And I'm going to read one verse. Verse 21. Jeremiah chapter 15. And I'm going to read one verse. Verse 21. This is Jeremiah chapter 15. And your brother K. Judah gonna read one verse. Verse 21. And it reads, and I will deliver thee out of the hand of the wicked, and I will redeem thee out of the hand of the terrible. And God delivered them out of the hand of the wicked and out of the hand of the terrible. Let's go to Psalms chapter 50. Psalms chapter 50. The book of Psalms chapter 50. And I'm going to read one verse. Verse 15. Psalms chapter 50. And I'm going to read one verse. Verse 15. The book of Psalms chapter 50. And verse 15. And it reads, and call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. Read that again. And call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me indeed. Let's go back to Daniel chapter 3. And this time, verse 19. Daniel chapter 3. And this time, verse 19. The book of Daniel chapter 3. And I'm going to pick it up at verse 19. Daniel chapter 3 and verse 19. And it reads, then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 17 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them in the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hoses, and their hats, and their other garments, and was cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandments was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astounded, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his council, did not we cast three men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, true, O king. He answered and said, lo, I see four men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the fourth is like the Son of God. Let's go to Psalms 34. Do you see that your God is powerful, Israel, and he can deliver you out of any situation? Just have faith. Let's go to Psalms 34. Who was the fourth person? Let's see. Psalms 34. And I'm going to read one verse. Verse 7. Your God can deliver in any situation. His hand is not shortened that it cannot reach. Understand what you are hearing, Israel. Let's go to Psalms 37. Psalms 34. And I'm going to read one verse. Verse 7. Psalms 34. And I'm going to read one verse. Verse 7. This is the book of Psalms 34. And I'm going to read one verse. Verse 7. And it reads, the angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him and delivered them. So who was that fourth person? Read it again, K. Judah. The angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him and delivered them. So the fourth person was the angel of the Lord. He went in the midst of the fire and allowed no fire, no furnace, no flame to touch Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Understand this, Israel. Let's go back to Daniel chapter 3. And this time, verse 26. Daniel chapter 3. And this time, verse 26. The book of Daniel chapter 3. And this time, verse 26. And it reads, then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake, and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High God, come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire, and the princes, the governors, and captains, and the kings, counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose body the fire had no power, nor was an hair of their head seen, neither was the coast changed, nor the smell of fire has passed upon them. Read that again. And the princes, governors, captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power, nor was a hair of their head seen, neither was their coast changed, nor the smell of fire has passed upon them. Why? Let's go to Romans chapter 1. Why did God deliver? Let's go to Romans chapter 1. The book of Romans chapter 1. And we're going to find out, why did God deliver? This is Romans chapter 1. And I'm going to read one verse. Verse 17. Romans chapter 1. And I'm going to read one verse. Verse 17. This is the book of Romans, chapter 1. And I'm going to read one verse, verse 17. And it reads, for the end is the righteousness of God revealed, from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith. Read that again. The just shall live by faith. And these three men had faith. Understand that, family. These three men had faith. And that's why God delivered. Because if you do not have faith, how can God move? Let's go to Hebrews chapter 11. If you do not have faith, how can God move, Israel? He cannot. Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews chapter 11. If you do not have faith, your God cannot move. Hebrews chapter 11. And I'm going to read verse 6. Hebrews chapter 11. And I'm going to read one verse. Verse 6. Hebrews chapter 11. And I'm going to read verse 6. And it reads, but without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Did you hear that? That God is a rewarder of those that diligently seek him, Israel. Understand that. So without faith, it is impossible to please God. Let's go back to Daniel chapter 3. But this time, verse 28. Daniel chapter 3. But this time, verse 28. The book of Daniel chapter 3. The book of Daniel chapter 3. But this time, verse 28. Daniel chapter 3 and verse 28, and it reads, then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who have sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him and have changed the king's word and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own God. He said that God yielded his words and changed the king's words. Absolutely. Let's go to Isaiah 55. Isaiah 55. Of course, God changed your words. Let's see why. Isaiah 55. And I'm going to read one verse. Verse 11. Isaiah 55. And I'm going to read one verse. Verse 11. Why did God change the king's word? Let's see. This is Isaiah 55 and verse 11. And it reads, so shall my word be that go forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereunto I sent it. And God sent that angel to go and deliver Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and his word would not return void. So they delivered them because God has the power to deliver in any situation. Understand this, Israel. Let's go to Daniel chapter 3. Back to Daniel chapter 3. And this time, verse 29. Daniel chapter 3. And this time, verse 29. The book of Daniel, chapter 3. And I'm going to read verse 29. Daniel chapter 3 and verse 29. And it reads, therefore I make a decree. Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego should be cut in pieces, and their houses should be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that can deliver after this sort. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Did you hear Nebuchadnezzar? He said if anybody speak against their God, he will cut them in pieces, because there is no other God but theirs who can deliver after this sort, Israel. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 2. 1 Samuel chapter 2. There is no God like our God, Israel. 1 Samuel chapter 2. And I'm going to read verse 2. 1 Samuel chapter 2. And your brother K. Judah going to read verse 2. Samuel chapter 2. 1 Samuel chapter 2 and verse 2. And it reads, there is none holy as the Lord, for there is none besides thee, neither is there any rock like our God. Absolutely. There is no rock like our God. Let's go to Psalms 86. Psalms 86. And I'm going to read one verse, verse 8. Psalms 86. And I'm going to read one verse, verse 8. This is Psalms 86 and verse 8. Psalms 86 and verse 8. And it reads, among the gods there is none like unto thee, O Lord, neither are there any works like unto thy works. Nobody worked the kind of works that our God worked. Understand this, Israel. So do you see that God delivered them because of their faith? So Israel uses as an example, because without faith it is impossible to please God. And God delivered Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego because they refused to yield their bodies to serve any other God but their own. And your brother K. Judah want to say, Shalom.